This is new to me, usually I was absent. The talent and time wasted, look, I'm back on it, it's tragic. I'm sober now and that's magic, still harder than a matchstick. The time I needed to grind, homie.
Baseball, dude, unfortunately, still, I feel like.
Still,
but this year...
Other than the first couple games.
Yeah. No, and I think this year, they've gotten far more better. We cracking this? All
One-handed right. Crack to kick off the episode?
Yes, one-handed crack.
You go first?
All right, ready?
It's harder than it looks. Ooh, that was nice.
That's going to be a tough one to beat there, Josh. Oh, that was good. That was
nice
good.
recovery.
That was.
Didn't have enough leverage. I need a new grip next time.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to move the tab back. That makes it tough to drink.
I was excited to hear you.
Oh, look at me.
Dude.
I'm so excited to have Stoney. Oh, there's a tick or something on me, too.
This is an awesome start.
Shout out Stoney's beer.
Shout out Stoney's. It's so happy to be on the MVB podcast. It's just going all over the place on Josh. I thought these were going to be a lot colder than I was expecting. They've been in my fridge. Is yours not cold? I feel like mine's not that cold.
It's not. It's definitely not like freezing, but I mean we've been cold. At it like for an hour too. So plus the drive up here is an hour. Could have chilled or unchilled.
I know, but I feel like it should be way colder. I'm kind of worried that the fridge at home is messed up now.
Maybe it is. Is it like the beer fridge?
Is your fridge on inside?
Oh yeah.
Is it running?
Yeah. You want to put them in there?
You should probably go catch it.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, I got him.
That is a good one.
Are we recording?
Hmm?
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, this is episode 35. 36,
36.
I mean. 36.
36.
We just did 35 with Frank
Nice.
Michael Smith.
Nice. Dude, do you remember, did you ever prank call people as a kid?
Yes.
That was always a classic.
The refrigerator running?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
the refrigerator running.
That was a good one. I feel like I got prank called at least once or twice by like people and just never found out who it was.
The Star 67.
Back in the day, yeah.
Huge.
Because I feel like back whenever those first few years of elementary school and stuff, you'd get like a directory at some point. It'd be like your classmates and like their addresses and phone numbers.
Yeah.
So you could just like call people, and then eventually that stopped. But
yeah, because they're probably realizing some creepy individuals were out there and using it for the wrong reasons instead of getting all your boys' phone numbers and home phone numbers.
And I guess we kind of did it. We started getting like cell phones, and then it was
that
like
too.
We could just call each other on our own.
Yeah, that was those were the days. Remember calling? I vividly remember calling my best friends on Christmas, their home phone numbers, and talking about what we got for Christmas.
I do remember that. That was like the best part. The second best part after opening all your gifts was like seeing what your friends got.
Right.
And comparing.
Yeah. I remember I forget how old I was. It was when Guitar Hero first came out. And I called my best friend. I was like, "Hey, what'd you get? Did you get the new Guitar Hero?" He goes, "Yeah, I got it." I'm like, "I got a guitar." He's like, "I got a guitar too." I went over, but he had the whole freaking band. The whole setup. And I'm
the drums and everything.
I was like, "What the hell, Mom?" Like, I was sick. I was so upset. But he had brothers and sisters. They rocked out to it. So, like, everybody was in it. And then I played in the guitar. Like, I had my guitar. He had his guitar. His dad would always sing.
Yeah.
It was a time to be alive, dude.
It was a time to be alive. Like, similar story. Like, I feel like everybody had like that. Either got Rock Band or Guitar Hero at some point.
You were either one team or the other.
And like, I remember still like getting the Wii back in like 2007 or 2008. And my neighbor who lived right over there. We got like Super Smash Brothers, which was like one of the games back then, and we would just play that like all the time. Because we could I could go over to his house, play it, he could come over to my house, play it, or we could do it like multiplayer online. That was like one of my first multiplayer games. Played the shit out of that game. But then I was like, even before video games, like we played a game called Buckets and Ropes.
Buckets and
outside.
ropes.
And literally all it was is we would use like ropes and buckets, like 5-gallon buckets, and like make bombs and stuff to like bombs to throw off of the deck, or like we'd like fill it up with water on the top of the deck, and then we'd have like a pulley or something, and then like be like 3, 2, 1, and it would be like
Pull it. All
and
the water,
would
come
just
up.
like explode, like just like dumb stuff. Or we make like a swing and like hang it from the rafters of the deck.
Do kids still have that today? Do they still have it in them?
I think it depends on where you're at, because like still living here and seeing like the new generation of kids, like this house over here has a bunch of kids, and there's like 3 or 4 girls who live in that house, all in like elementary, middle school, and they're out here every single day playing, and they play with like, there's a whole group of them. They'll go up on the hill and play. So like that group seems to still be back in the era of like no phones or anything.
Yeah.
But I know there's some that probably aren't the same.
I think, now are they like 7 and 8? Are they around that age?
They're still young for
Okay.
sure. Like, so they probably haven't reached the middle school.
My theory on this is, so we have our generation, right, that grew up, and it was 7th and 8th grade that we received our first smartphone, or like 9th grade year, I think, was my first, I think it was iPhone. And I mean, then we grow up, we then become hyper addicted to the things, right? And then the generation was in elementary school at the time, like, grew up with them, you know, through those years. I think that generation is so glued into it, like the super, super young generation when we were in high school, that they're the ones that are super addicted. But I feel like it's then has kind of reverted back to kids that are now in elementary school aren't using them as much. And I think it's because everybody has caught wind and caught notice of the overall like usage of it. Because last night even we were out to dinner and there was a bunch of kids that were just playing football like right outside of the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, that's awesome to see still, because we literally made the comment, and we were like, wow, it's good to see them like not playing on an iPad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, you're probably onto something there. That generation that kind of like was heavily impacted by COVID too, probably is a little bit more addicted to it. But I do think the future generation of like the 7-year-old, 8-year-old and under, like they're probably gonna benefit from us like catching on and being like, oh, I don't know if this is healthy for us to be using phones this much. So hopefully it reverses course a little bit, because like you said, like the kids playing football and stuff outside of the restaurant, but like I vividly remember the days of like playing Little League Baseball the first couple years, and when you didn't have a game going on, you'd just be like roaming around the park, like playing all the different attractions at the park. Going to the concession stand was like something I looked forward to. Like,
outside of playing sports is where character was built. Like if you weren't in the game, if you weren't playing the game, you were hanging out outside of, if it was a baseball field or if it was a football field, you were like hanging out with your boys, wreaking havoc, dude.
Yes.
And you learned quick what is not okay on the playground and what is okay, like, to do, or you learn how to get away with things. I think it's something that can't be taught, you know?
No, you just kind of learn it through experience.
Yeah.
So hopefully this generation coming up, they experience the same childhood that we did. Because looking back now, it was like, oh, those were the days sometimes.
Right. And you hope that people or kids can experience, you know, what we experienced too, which is a world where it wasn't really involved in our lives other than like the Wii. I think the Wii was the first big thing. The Wii was so criminally underrated.
It's
too.
the first big thing I remember, was that coming out, and then it was like playing Wii Sports, Wii Bowling and all that. And then like the DS was around, playing Nintendogs and stuff on the DS.
Oh yeah, the DS was very, very much I think the start of it all.
Nintendo really like dominated like the game industry early. Like they had the DS, the Game Boy, the Wii.
Facts.
Like all that stuff was like big for like kids in gaming and stuff early on. And then it became like the Xbox 360, PlayStation era after that. And now I don't know what the era is that we're currently in, to be honest. It's kind of like Xbox, PlayStation, just kind of like we're used to it.
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly with you. Is like, I remember vividly the Game Boy and like blowing into those like carts, making and putting them in at the bottom. And you're like, man, this is the shit, playing Pokemon on this thing. I wish I still had that DS, so I could go back and play it.
Honestly, that's one of my, because I had the DS and I think I traded it in at some point, and I kind of wish I still had it just to like pull it out and be like, oh, I remember playing all this stuff. And like I remember too, when it had like the instant messenger on there and you could like message
Your
other
friends.
people like in the same group.
Yeah.
How like big deal that was.
It was so ahead of its time, I feel like, for gaming.
Yeah. I mean, it really was. I mean, everything that Nintendo did was like so ahead of the game. It's kind of crazy.
Now I'm just like not even connected into it anymore. And I mean, I get people that do and are plugged into it. I'll play the PS4 every once in a while, but
yeah,
I'm not coming out and buying a new PS5 or whatever the next thing is, because I just feel like I wouldn't play it.
Our priorities have changed too. Like you said, you can't dedicate as much time to it. I'll still, like in the winter months, I'm more likely to like, oh, let me just play like some Call of Duty tonight or something, just to chill or whatever, or like pick up the Madden when it comes out. In the summertime, for whatever reason, my mind just like clicks off and I don't even like think of playing games.
Yeah.
Probably just because, I don't know, it's light out later and you're just more active, I guess. But yeah, I don't know what the next thing will probably be like. As VR and like the augmented reality stuff becomes big, that'll probably be the next thing.
Yeah, we've talked about that in the past, like on a couple episodes, and I just don't know why. I mean, maybe it's not to the point where it needs to be for people to really adopt it. Because it's been around since the 80s or whenever it was first invented, but I don't know if it's the marketing behind it and people are like weirded out by it and it not involving like the human experience. And I think they're trying to do everything they can to like incorporate the human social part of it. But I don't know why. Like it just hasn't connected with the masses yet.
It's just, you're right. It hasn't like really vibed with us yet. I mean, I think we're starting to see it with Apple's VR headset. I forget what they even call it. But theirs just came out a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And that's kind of you're starting to see that. And Apple has been known to like pave the way with stuff. So I think we're probably still like another 4 or 5 years before it becomes like pretty widely adopted. So it'll be interesting to keep tabs on all that. For sure.
I think the Apple one too is just very different in the fact that you can see through and like see people's eyes still, which is pretty like neat that you have the glass and you can see what's going on VR wise in the glass, but your eyes are still projected out. It's hilarious when you see people like walking around with them on and like you can see their eyeballs through it. It's kind of funny.
It could be too that we're waiting until we're able to do that, like you said, where you can use it actively and still look like normal to where you're just wearing like sunglasses or glasses or something. Versus wearing like this whole contraption walking around.
Right. What I was curious too is, do you remember when the Google Glass came out?
Yeah.
The hype around the Google Glass was insane, and everybody wanted to try the Google Glass. I think you're 100% on with that too, because whenever it was just the glass, I think it looked cool, but it also wasn't too much of like, oh, I'm locked into this VR set, I'm in another world now. But if they can make something where it's just like the glass, I mean, they probably already have, but I don't know, man. The Google Glass was pretty cool. Never took off though.
It never really took off, and I actually just found something the other day called they're these Ray-Ban glasses. They're like smart glasses. I think they call them the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. And I didn't even know these existed. I don't know how I missed any of the launches of it, but basically they're not really like smart glasses, but they're like Ray-Ban sunglasses, and they have like a camera built into like the very edge of it on both sides.
I did see a video on that.
And I was like looking at it the other day. I'm like, shit, like I might need to get some of these, because it's a cool thing of like working in like the film thing is you sometimes want to record like what you're seeing versus like what you're shooting.
Right.
So I was like, man, that'd be kind of cool to like throw those on for a game and then just like make a vlog out of it or something. So I don't know, random story just because I saw those the other day, but like there are some things out there that we just don't know, like aren't widely advertised, I guess.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, but gonna be interesting to watch it all transpire.
100%.
What have you been up to lately?
Nothing, man. Grinding.
Grinding.
Being the laxative salesman I am.
The laxative salesman
Yes,
you are.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of
enjoying
driving to this last week or so?
Yeah, a little bit, man. Had some big meetings around the PA area, so it was good, man. Just a lot of road time, but I enjoy it.
What's your go-to entertainment on the road?
Oh, go-to entertainment. I'm not gonna selfishly say us, because I think I listen to us like every so often, just to re catch up on videos and stuff, like every now and then. But I'll do I've been so big recently on like just the Dave Ramsey podcast that I was telling you about, the personal finance dude, and he's helpful. Like, he's helpful with a lot of things, but dude, some of the stories that people come on there with,
Insane.
you're like, what? How does that even happen? But like, I mean, once you hear it, it makes sense that some people get into the positions they are, and you're just use it kind of as advice for yourself, I guess, moving forward. But just to like hear some other people's stories, it's almost like they're like talking to you about it too. So we got some droppings coming down on us.
I'm just making sure we're good. No, you're right. The stories on Ramsey are insane. Like,
yep.
People call and be like, I'm $200,000 in credit card debt. And he's just like, dude, you're going to have to declare bankruptcy and just start over. Like, you're not going to be able to pay that all off.
Yeah. It's like, what do I do, Dave? I'm 40. I've got like 6 kids. We're in a $500,000 house. I make $50,000 a year. And you're like, dude, what? You're like, what, man?
Really, honestly,
Yeah.
like, it's like, how did you get in this? But it can snowball, I guess, is the biggest takeaway you should take from those, is like, you could be good right now, but like you make a couple bad choices and like something unexpected happens or whatever, where you have to like pay something for a couple months, then you're like, damn, now I'm upside down.
Right.
So you have to play it smart. But yeah, there are some unreal situations that pop up on there.
Right.
And I haven't listened to like his podcast necessarily, but I just see like the clips that get posted on like TikTok or on Instagram. And so they're usually like smaller sections, but I do try to listen to his advice a little bit just to see like how to position myself,
I listen to some, but I don't listen to all.
Yeah.
Like, I think some of it he's very old school with. And I understand like the no credit card thing, because people will spend more on a credit card, but I don't know if you're on top of it. Like,
I just think there's a balance between like not spending anything and not enjoying, like, because your money's there to spend ultimately, right? So like experience with trips and travel, and like, if you have like, you're a big car guy and you want to get a cool car, like, do it. Just don't put yourself in a shitty situation, or your family in a shitty situation where you might not be able to get out of it or whatever easily. So just don't stretch yourself too thin.
Yep.
But with that being said, like, obviously right now still like challenging economical times, and some of his advice, I don't know if it necessarily still pertains to like the market right now.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of it too, like, because me and you, I mean, both are at the point now where we're starting to look around at places and stuff, and I think his is like a fourth. What you should be paying is like a fourth of your take-home pay for a monthly mortgage. You need to put I don't know if it was 33 or 20% down, and have the mortgage payment be a fourth of whatever it's going to be. And dude, that's hard. That is really hard for people to do, and
especially like early in your career, like now.
Yeah, man. Like, for a majority of people, dude, unless you're really on top of your things and you have like the perfect situation, especially if you go to school, man, and like his philosophy is pay off all your debt and then like start saving up, and dude, that could take forever with the way things are right now,
With the way things are right now, yeah. I mean, initially I kind of was always like the costs are out of control right now, no doubt about it. Yeah. Like the housing costs, the cost of buying anything, cost of fuel, like all of the cost of living is crazy expensive. But I've been sitting around like waiting, I guess, now for a couple of years. So like, surely they'll drop. And it seems like they may. I mean, eventually they will, but there hasn't been any luck like recently. So I'm just looking at it now as like, I just have to figure out a way to like raise my income. Basically,
that's it.
Is the only solution at this point.
That's all anybody can do right now, dude.
Because for you and I, it's not really a spending issue at this point. It's just we just need more income to be able to to save more or to be able to pay for a monthly expense or whatever.
That's it.
So, yeah, it's tough to. He has good advice, but you have to take it with a grain of salt too.
Yeah,
depending on your situation.
And lucky enough for you and I, we're both kicking it at home. And if you're out there kicking it at home, there's nothing wrong with it.
Facts. Soak it up if you can. You know?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't have that luxury to do that, or they have to, whatever the situation may be, it could be a lot tougher for them. That dude, like, I couldn't even.
At the end of the day, like
imagine.
when you really think about it, like obviously there's a ton of pros to moving out and living on your own, for like character development, your personal development. If you're in a relationship, that aspect is big. If you're looking for a relationship, that aspect can be big. But it's also like, if you're moving out only because you're worried about like what other people think, or to just try to make yourself look cooler or whatever, it's usually not a good choice.
Right.
If you're in a good situation at home, and
Yeah.
like if you're in a good situation at home, like milk it for a few years. I'm not saying live for till you're 30,
Right. Mom and dad's basement.
but if you have to, do it. Look, we got the UPS guy. He's he's hopping on the potty. But yeah, I mean, we're both kind of soaking it up, using it as a way to leverage ourselves, I guess.
It is. And don't get me wrong, like there's days where I'm like, man, I feel like a bum, like I'm at mom and dad's house, and it's definitely a motivator to get out, but
Yeah, just don't get comfy.
yeah, you can't. You really can't. But it's nice to have it and to use it as motivation to step it up and get to the next level of life.
Next step.
Yeah. There's the sun. There's
Little
the
bit of
sun,
sun
man.
action.
Let's go. It's beautiful out here.
Oh yeah,
Pittsburgh, what's the temperature? 60 some, 58?
probably like 58, 60 or so.
Springtime, man. Springtime here. What were we doing last spring around this time?
Last
With the
spring around
MVP?
this time with MVP, we did our first bonfire episode.
Oh, yeah.
Out back at your house up in New Willie, and then we also did, I think we did one or two like that in your backyard, and then who else did we have last spring? I forget.
I know for sure. We did me, you, and Alex. We did me and you. We did me, you, and Brandon.
Right.
Um,
We did that night. That was like an nighttime episode around the fire. That was a fun one.
we were rolling into the night.
Man, what else did we do last year?
I don't know, man, but it's been a fun year.
Actually, I kind of want to look just to see.
Yeah, pull it up. How long have we been at it now? A year and a half?
I believe about 2 years now.
2. I was gonna say it's got to be 2.
Because if you think, I believe, I
you were
wasn't still in school whenever we started.
Right.
But you and John were. So it would have been spring of 2022,
Right.
I believe. So about 2 years from right now.
Maybe a hint at the return of a John Popa episode.
At John Popa catch-up episode coming soon.
Wow. Maybe we're hitting it. Maybe it's the comeback.
Could be. All right, let's see. 12 months ago, we had Ben Tenuta in like February. If
Yeah.
you remember that? We did that at the podcast studio. We had Dylan Kickler Visuals in January. That was kicking off our year strong at the podcast studio. We had me and you in the backyard, Brandon Greco in the backyard, Alex in the backyard. Then we had Peter's Pasta in May. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. That
Peter's
was a big
Pasta
one.
in May before the Mr. Beast collab, so that was a big one.
Yeah, he didn't want to drop it. He didn't want to spoil it at all.
And then
We
we
gotta-
had like a little bit of a break, I think, until we did, let's see, Rich Abbott
Rich,
9
nice.
months ago. So that would have been like June-ish probably, or July. And then we did one up on the back deck.
Nice.
And then we did Erica right before school started, so August. So we slowed down a little bit in the summer last year, but we got a bunch of people in.
Right.
What do you think is our goal with the MVP?
I think our goal is to bring on, this is just my thought, to bring on as much diverse stories of people who have done things that are commendable, right? So people that are actively pursuing something and wanting to be great at, and no matter what it is, and if they have a passion for something, I think that story needs to be told. And that's what our platform's here for. And we enjoy it. We enjoy interviewing people. And I don't even think it's interviewing people half the time. It's really just a conversation about their life.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's
How
what
about
we
you?
do best is conversations about life is probably our trademark.
Yeah.
We started out just doing it amongst ourselves, and then we branched into bringing some people on, so we get to tell a lot of really cool stories or let their stories be told. We get to network with a lot of different people around the Pittsburgh area or around the world. We've been able to like kind of go down the route of seeing who our friends are friends with, and meeting their friends and maybe their guests on the podcast. So yeah, we're really just bringing cool people's stories to our platform and having fun with it, and also just talking about cool topics that we want to talk about, to maybe give insight to somebody else listening out there. We're just having fun at the end of the day.
I think that's our MVP Stoney story.
That is our MVP Stoney story
Boom.
for today,
There we go.
episode 36.
We could get into the, I guess also.
I have
the
another
Stoney
story that I think
Yeah.
you should talk about.
Yes, I agree.
You found a piece of paper today.
Yes. So Julia, my girlfriend, her mom, her maiden name was Jones. So essentially, down the lineage or the history of their family, somebody, I'm not positive if it was her uncle, but her dad kept up with the story of the Stoney's brewing history. So I have the story here, and he basically tracked the history of Stoney's beer, and I'm gonna read it. If you guys tune in for a little bit.
What are the odds?
What are the odds, man? And it's really crazy because I remember meeting like Julia's uncle for the first time, and he had a Stoney's beer, and by the time we all gathered, it was like at the passing of her grandma. We were all at the wake part, and he had a Stoney's beer, and I'm like, I'd never heard of that beer before, and they told me a story. Julia's dad went to one of the family gatherings wearing like an Iron City light shirt, and they were like, "Get the hell out of here," type of thing, just being funny, But like their family's very intertwined with Stoney's, and that came in. I'm like, "Hey, check out our podcast sponsor, Stoney's Beer." So here's the story of like the write up of the Jones family history, and we're gonna get into it. All right. The Jones family history. The Jones family, as we know it in America, began with William Benjamin Jones, birth in 1874 at Indiana Head, Pennsylvania, and Louisa Jane Dorman, being born in 1873 at Springfield, Illinois. They were married at Cumberland, Maryland in 1896 and raised 4 girls and 4 boys. Ive Gannell was the firstborn, followed in succession by Cuba Vey, William Benjamin, Grace Leota. The list goes on and on. It's a long list of people. The following booklet chronicles their genealogy of children, grandchildren, great-children, and etc. And sequence. Okay. Louisa Jane Dorman was effectively known to all of us as Lulu and Mammy. Her mother was Louisa Gottgrave, who was born in Birmingham, England in 1853. Lulu's father, Henry Michael Dorman, was born in Scotland. We do not know much about him. For the Waverly, he had an injury in the Waverly coal mine in Smithton, Pennsylvania. He was buried in an unmarked grave at the Barren Run Church Cemetery. He was considered a specialist in the field of sinking mine shafts. At 18 years old, Lulu went to work as a cook in the Smith House Hotel in Smithton, where she met and married the proprietor, William Benjamin Jones. He was the original Stoney, although some of the sons were also later referred to as that. After their marriage, Stoney and Lulu went to Suttersville, Pennsylvania to work for his father at the Harrison House Hotel. Stoney's father, William B. Jones, was born in Wales, Great Britain in 1848 and immigrated to America in 1859. At 11 years of age to work in the mines, in 1886 he became the first boss at the Port Royal Mine in Fitzhenry, Pennsylvania. He subsequently purchased the Smith House Hotel in Smithton and owned the Harrison House and Sutter House hotels located in Suttersville. He was married to Sophia Galantine in 1872. She was the daughter of a minster in Normaville, Pennsylvania. They both died in 1906 and buried in the Jones Vault at the West Newton, Pennsylvania Cemetery. He's listed in the Historical Society of History of Westmoreland County. In 1906, Stoney and Luley returned to Smithton to own and manage the Smith House Hotel, now known as the Jones Hotel. Shortly afterward, he founded the ice-making and brewery business located on the outskirts of the town where it is today. It was initially named the Pure Aqua Ice and Eureka Brewing Companies. His German brewmaster won a Gold Crown Award for excellence among small breweries, and it was used as the label for many years. In 1917, Stoney sponsored a very good baseball team, which traveled the valley promoting the beer, which became Stoney's Gold Crown Beer. The Jones Brewing Company was famous for its quality products, personal contact, local marketing, and family concept. It was the last of the small family-owned breweries. The large house of the corner in First Street in Smithton was purchased in 1915 and was to be their homestead for the remaining years. So
Crazy.
Yeah.
What are the odds?
Yeah, story about the family lineage of the Jones family and the ones that created Stoney's beer.
And now we just happen to have them as our first sponsor.
It's a
business relationship
for a podcast.
for a local small brewery here in Western PA.
Wild.
Insane.
Yeah, definitely crazy. I'm sorry if I was spewing about your friend's family, but hey,
No,
it's cool. I
interesting.
think they'll appreciate the story being told on the podcast.
We might have to dive
Pace-
deeper into it as we learn more, I think.
Yeah, and really get to know it, because he was seemed like a super entrepreneur, like super person that just went out and kind of got after it. But
Got after it. I mean, the legacy lives on still.
Yeah.
I mean, 100 years old.
right,
Over
and,
100 years old.
And I know, I think there's still people involved in the current ownership today that is somehow related to the Jones family. But I know that it's kind of went back and forth in terms of ownership. But the roots are definitely Pittsburgh, man, through and through. Like they
Pittsburgh.
said, it was one of the last remaining small breweries, which is awesome.
It's insane. Let's dive into a different topic here.
Yeah.
How do you make money in college?
Oh, I think that is what every kid wants to know in college, right?
Especially these days. A little
Right.
side hustle action, you know?
You need to.
A bunch of different ways you could go about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, how I make money in college is being a hustler, being in doing a service, man. Do a service to the community. I think that's a big thing. I mean, I detailed cars around New Wilmington like crazy, you know? I think that is something that really isn't talked about a lot in college is, dude, if you're a business major, you can work while you're in school, man.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you're Division I or even like a Division II athlete or something like that. But, dude, you can find a way. Like, that was always like, how do I make money in school? Like, oh, I'll play this sport or
I
something.
don't have time.
Yeah. I mean, I get the time constraint, and some people it might be tougher in terms of education, but if you prioritize your time, you should have 2-3 hours of time after class at least. I mean, I know our schedule wasn't intense. You know, you have 1 or 2 classes, 3 classes maybe max a day, and then you have that free time.
Right.
I mean, if you're in something like a biology or a chemistry, or you want to be a nurse and you're in nursing, obviously that's going to take up a lot of your time, and I completely understand that. But you're also hoping at the fact that payouts out of school is a lot more than, say, a business degree where you're not sure, unless you're absolutely sure you want to be an accountant or something like that. I truthfully think you have to multiply your skill set, like, and do what fits your skill set as a person, and figure that is out in college, and like apply yourself to doing for others, I think, in school, because what else can you really do? other
Right.
than be of a service to somebody else. And I think people are like often like, oh, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head too. And what better way to, especially if you're like a business or a marketing or anything like that, really any major, but what better way to learn than to actually like apply what you're learning in your classes to a business or to a side hustle, and use your resources around you too. A lot of colleges offer a lot of resources,
That's all me and you
from
did.
all sorts of different
Yeah.
like categories of business. I mean, a good example was with WEC at Westminster. Westminster Entrepreneurship Center had a whole room outfitted with t-shirt printing supplies, as well as a press, the cutter to cut out the vinyl cutter or the vinyl for the shirts. I mean, just something like that was like a simple thing that we could use to like create t-shirts if you wanted to experiment, like start a t-shirt business. They had a full-blown embroidery machine. So like use your resources while you're there, and then use the people around you to build up your business and like get advice, etc. So like the service-based business route that you did with like detailing, or if you're getting into landscaping is like a summer gig, those are always like solid routes because they always need to be done, and there's always people that are willing to pay to not have to do services basically. So if you can offer something that makes their life easier, right there you can make some money. You have the whole route of like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Ubering, if that's something that's interesting to you, or you have the ability to do that. But even more so now you have the whole the electronic world that you can tap into, and it's not as easy to get into that, I don't think, just because it's harder to find opportunities. But you can get into like photography, videography. You can get into graphic design. You can get into online customer support even. There's probably so many more that we're forgetting about.
No, I agree. There's ways that you can use your mental abilities too while you're in school learning. That wouldn't just have to be solely manual labor focused, but I mean also like what you did too, where I mean sure there's definitely labor that was involved with videography, cinematography, and recording and everything like that, but if you can hustle like at nighttime on your computer and help with like calling. I remember and a guest that we want to have on too is Brian Petrus. And
Yes.
what he did you ever hear this story?
I've heard a few, but I don't know if I've heard this one.
Whenever he would come back from class, he would go online and teach Chinese kids how to speak English.
Actually, you know what? I did hear this. He
Yes,
told our class this.
Because the
one of them.
hours were different, obviously, time zones and everything like that. I'm not sure if it's the same situation where you would make a whole ton of money, but I think we looked at it on one of the classes and it was still like 19 or 20 bucks an hour after you pass through, and it seemed like it wasn't too difficult. So there's definitely ways that you can also use your brain to
No excuses really.
yeah, build some business.
With all the resources of the internet and everything like that, there's so many different ways you can make money these days, and you really, if you want to get ahead, you need to tap into that, because if you just play it safe and just do like the normal route, then you're just at a disadvantage to everybody else. And also, even if you're going to you're looking to get a nursing job, or you're gonna be a marketer when you come out, like having that stuff on your resume that I did this while I was in school just makes you shine so much more.
It's huge. People love to see it. I mean, I'm sure you saw it while you were going around like trying to get in with the NFL or NHL, and they asked you. It's like, yeah, I ran this business while I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
And
it just helps you stand out. I mean, that's part of it. Everybody always talks about like extracurriculars and community service and stuff like that, and that's just another way you can go about it. Not to mention all the stuff you learned just from doing that you can now apply to this job that will make you look better as you start out anyway. But Brian Petrus, that you brought him up, that'd be a great guest. We need to get him on this summer.
100%.
One of my favorite professors at Westminster for sure.
100%.
Right up there with Gaber.
Yep.
One of our first guests ever.
Number one, man. Let's
We need
go.
to follow up with him too sometime.
We do. Yeah, we definitely do. Great guy, and like you said, I mean, he's definitely, I think, changing a lot with how business and business school at Westminster at least used to be. My hopes is like that gets passed down to other schools, or if other schools take that initiative too, because he definitely goes out of his way to try and help kids pass school, and I think that's what gets lost a lot of times with a lot of people that go in with the thoughts of getting like a business degree. I mean, the path is like it's not clear, you know.
No.
We've talked about that a lot of times, and I think that's a big disconnect in a lot of places, because kids are like, what do I do now?
Yeah,
You know?
like I do all these. I mean, how would you say your perspective of life after school has changed since you graduated in the last year or so? Now that you've been out for about a year.
Yeah, I think I think it's changed from like the daily activities of doing, just going to class and going through that routine, and you kind of take it for granted. You try to take advantage of, you know, everything that you possibly can, but perspective wise is, you know, I think while I was in school, I was always just trying to like not be in school, you know, and always just like working now. But now it's like, it's all work now at this point, and your focus then, it used to be like getting good grades to pass, but now it's like do good at your job, do good at what you enjoy to do, and try to maximize, you know, like your freedom now, which is, it's kind of weird, the shift, I guess, from school to now it's work, and then afterwards it's interesting. So I don't know if I have a good answer for that.
I mean,
you're still
you know, you're only in year one, not even out a year yet, so
yeah,
it's still fresh. But one thing for me is like after that first year, I just got like a lot more comfortable with like the whole idea of being done with school, and just like understanding, all right, like this is what's next. Like the ultimate goal, like your only responsibility in life really is to be happy and to like do what you need to do to be able to be happy. So it's like, whether that's work or if it's going to school again and getting your doctorate or whatever, it's like now you have the keys and you have like full control over your future
right.
at that point. And it took me a little bit to like understand that and like move up to that. So it's, I guess, just it's a lot more peaceful now, and like taking steps each day to get better and to kind of grow the business and everything that I'm working on to where I want it to be. And then growing social circles and networking and attempting to travel more whenever I can and not let work consume me entirely. You know, play golf, go fishing, do podcasts, you know, do those things that are not work is
Right.
big. But I've also realized that like taking the hard route with like the business requires me to sacrifice some of that, at least for now.
Yeah.
So like some of my friends, you know, they're out of school and they're able to move out and or move across the country or whatever. Not that I can't do that, but like to make this business work, I can't do that yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like just coming to peace with all of that, and then just enjoying life, you know?
Yeah, you definitely have to make sacrifices, I think, early if you want to get ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about that dozens of times.
So many times.
And I think you brought up like a really good point too, is you have the keys now. Like once you graduate, it's like up to you. You know, I think in college you just had the utmost, no responsibilities, but like maximum freedom then, and then it all hits out of school. And I mean, hopefully you realize it while you're in school. And I think what's nice is if you do realize that, hey, this party comes to a stop, you know, this show goes on the road. And I think a lot of times too, I mean, me and you have both talked about it. We've had personal finance classes in school and everything like that. And not to get back on like the subject, but people in school, it's like there's no there's nothing attached to it in the moment until like the last year, the last month, and they go, hey, shit's gonna start kicking in now. You know, I think it's so crazy to me the overwhelming majority of people that don't even know what they owe school whenever they're in school, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge. If you can stay on top of it. I mean, I didn't even know until like sophomore, junior year, and part of the reason why I just quit basketball, I'm like, dude, this isn't worth it.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
feel like right around like junior years when you start to be like, oh shit, like
Yeah, it gets
I'm gonna
serious.
be responsible for this. But also, like once you're out of school, the structure disappears. You know, you're used to having structure all the way from kindergarten to either end of high school or to college. And once you're out of those, there's no more structure. Now it's like you're like you said. I mean, the keys are in your hand. You control everything at that point. So that's an uncomfy feeling for a lot of people, at least initially, and it takes a little bit to like settle in and understand the chaos.
Do you look for like a routine? Because that was the big thing that I needed to find, and I think a lot of people struggle with that a year post college is finding a routine that's like conducive to you and maximizes your happiness, dude. Because I remember when I first started, finding a routine, man, and I felt like also I wanted to get a grasp of what I was doing, so I felt like I was constantly working all the time. But in developing that routine, dude, it's tough. It's definitely, and I could imagine it's probably even tougher for you because it's your business, you know.
Right. I mean, the routine, like I've always thrived in a routine. I feel like, you know, once you get into those years of high school and stuff and you're just used to waking up early, going to school, come home, weekends are off, or if you got a sport or something, you just get used to it, right? And even through college and all that. So, yeah, once you're out of school, the routine kind of disappears. But then once you start a job, typically you start to kind of gain it back with like a 9 to 5 or, you know, Monday through Friday I'm working. Or even if it's not a 9 to 5, like a part-time job, you're usually kind of have a routine of some sort. So the biggest adjustment for me was like once I went all in on the videography and everything, there's not really like, there is a routine most days, but when I'm busy or it just changes rapidly, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like no week is the same ever. You know, I could have a Pirate game on a Monday, Pirate game any day of the week really. When football season's going on, it looks totally different. When I'm taking trips, like this coming week, it's going to look totally different.
Going to the D.
Going to the D, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to look totally different. Then I come back and I leave again for another trip, and it's like, you know, that'll look different. So, or just right now where I'm busy with, like, a lot of editing and stuff, I fall out of going to the gym as much or going on to runs or wanting to go golf once a week or whatever. So like for me, it always usually comes back to like I try to stay active of some sort. I'm not looking to get like ripped necessarily.
It's tough to do too.
It's tough to do.
If you want to get like jacked and ripped, I mean, you got to dedicate.
I just like to go
to.
So I have some strength.
Want another beer, by the way?
Yeah, I'll take another one.
All right, cool.
So I have some strength and I don't feel soft, number one. And
yeah,
you just feel better after the gym too. So that's like the main reason. And it's just like a level of discipline. And then same with the runs. Like I'm not out here trying to run like marathons, at least not yet. But
that's a big thing.
Like running, like I always like in high school, I was like, man, like I just never was into it, right? And then this past fall, I was like, you know what? Like I haven't like gotten the heart rate up in a while. Like, you know what I mean?
Me too.
And I was like, I should probably do something cardio wise just to, you know, stay. I don't want to be. I'm 25 now. I just turned 25.
you had to think on that one a little bit.
Which is old. Like I feel old. But I was like, I don't want to be, you know, not able to move and stuff when I'm older. So I was like, I'm gonna just start going on jogs, and like I loved it ever since. Like, I'm not taking a ton right now just 'cause I think I have a hernia. Sorry if that's too many information, but
did you get one from lifting? You think, or is it like a sports one?
I don't know. I think it was probably
painful?
just something that was always there. It's not really like painful. It's just like a dull ache kind of. And I noticed it like a month or two ago, and then it kind of faded away, and then I felt it again like a couple weeks ago. Honestly, wouldn't be shocked. Well, I think it's probably something that was always there, and then maybe golf or something aggravates it. Because I've noticed like after I play golf a decent bit is when it seems to like kind of flare up or whatever. So they say running's kind of bad for it, but I've still been running anyway, and I don't really feel it when I run. But
beast.
But the running's like I'm not going crazy. Usually between like a mile to 3.5 or 4 miles, depending. But it's just been so good for the mind.
Yeah.
So like that's been a part of my routine, and then whatever else I need to do that day, whether it's shooting or editing.
What do you think it is about? You brought up marathons, and I feel like everybody once they leave college, they do marathons. Why do you think that is?
That's a good question, because you are right. I think I just saw a meme the other day. It's like, what is it with 25-year-old men? They suddenly want to run marathons, or just 25-year-olds in general.
Right.
And it probably has something to do with what I felt in the fall, where I was like, maybe it's like some sort of quarter-life crisis where you're like, man, like I'm starting to get older. Like I don't want to be feeling old too. And maybe they start getting into running, and then I don't know. There's just something about running's kind of fun though. Like at this age, when it wasn't fun when I was like 15 or 16.
I haven't found the fun part of it yet, but I'm hoping I do.
I think as long as it gets not fun when you're like going crazy, like running at like a 7-minute mile pace or less or something. But if you're like pacing yourself within your means and like pushing yourself a little bit each week, it can be fun to just like run and like just look around at nature, be outside.
That is
it gives you a lot of like dopamine response too after a run, so it makes you feel better. But I think it's just going on walks and runs like one of the best ways to think clearly and to clear your mind. If you have a big decision you need to make, tends to be a good idea to go on a run or a walk and just like sit and think in those thoughts. So I think it's just a combo of all of that.
Yeah. I've heard that about like walks. If you need a big decision to make, that you should go on a walk. But they say running is good, but I forget who it was. I don't know if it was somebody with any credibility or what the source was, but I remember hearing a video and he said that anytime you need to make a big decision, you would go on a walk, not a run, because he said like running wise he used too much of his brain, which I can understand. But I think with people at 25, whether if they're like athletic or if they played a sport before, they need that like sense of accomplishment, I think, back. And once you're in your mid 20s or you kind of lose sense of that, and you're like, man, I wonder what it feels like to like do something athletically and accomplish it again.
That's probably it too. Like, you know, most people are done with their athletic career and they're looking for something to keep in that keep in touch with that side of them. But it's a fascinating thing. And like I only did like my first 5K this past fall, the turkey trot, Thanksgiving morning. Highly recommend. That was actually a lot of fun. I mean, it depends on what you're doing the night before, I guess. But Wild Turkey Wednesday or whatever you want to call it. But I thought it was actually pretty fun to get up and run and just you feel good going into Thanksgiving dinner. But yeah, I don't know. I think just as your brain matures, we must just like get in touch with other aspects, and it's like running, being outside in nature. People go on golfing kicks. They get into like fishing and hunting when they're in their mid-20s.
It's like choose your hobby.
It's random, you know?
Yeah, you kind of pick one avenue or the other.
Pick something to do. And I think too with running, you have a lot of people that are hustle-minded and like getting after it. It's just like a way for them to add discipline and keep themselves accountable and meet other like-minded people, because a lot of other people that are doing runs probably also have that same work ethic. Yeah. And like not necessarily even just runs, but if they're like really disciplined in the gym or whatever, they probably have what it takes to be, you know, a good entrepreneur or like someone that could have a good side hustle or something like that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. 100%.
Top Pittsburgh spots to visit.
Ooh. Top Pittsburgh spots. Are we including restaurants in this?
Just like if you had like a favorite spot to go in Pittsburgh, where would it be? In like the downtown area.
Okay. I'm gonna say Mount Washington, just solely because my family is all from around the area. So being around there brings up definite awesome memories of like being a kid and stuff and being around and running up and down like Grandview Avenue as a kid. I think Mount Washington definitely is up there. Pittsburgh-wise, too. What's another one?
Yeah, Mount Washington's a good one.
Just yeah, it's very very cliche, I guess, of me to say, but it's up there.
It's kind of tough. There's a lot of cool, like a lot of fun places to go in Pittsburgh. Honestly, I love being on like the North Shore though. Just like the vibes.
It is, yeah, especially summertime down there.
Summertime on the North Shore, but more specifically PNC Park. I mean, it's a vibe. I've grown, even though I've only been going there for like a year now. Like, well, obviously I went as a kid and everything, but like there is something special about that ballpark. Just like
It's remarkable.
being there in the summertime, and the view's incredible. The people that work there are incredible. The food and everything can be really awesome.
Spot on.
There's just nothing better, than going once in a while in the summertime and enjoying yourself.
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. That one's excited too to see you, Josh. You're on a roll.
Must be something about this seat. Oh, I forgot again.
the can again. I remember always as a kid, my grandma was always like, you better watch your lip on the edge of the can before you rip your lip off or something like that. Something just so stupid. Like, obviously she was looking out for the best of us, but can always cut your lip on them, I guess.
That is true.
Top Pittsburgh spot. I do like the North Shore. You know what I miss? Like back whenever Southside was a lot more chill. That was always just a fun buzz to be around whenever we were working down at the store, and me and my buddies whenever we were in high school and a couple years into college and we were down there. That was a fun Pittsburgh moment, because either you'd get drunk, or you wouldn't get drunk, you would watch people that were getting drunk and just people watch all night long, man. And going down the street, it was hilarious, dude, just to like hear people. And nobody really was as serious as they are now about going down to Southside. And it's so that was fun way back when, before it got like bad. That was a fun spot. I can't believe I didn't say this.
Actually, I just forgot about the Point's a good spot too.
Yeah, you know what's up there for me is the Strip District. On like a Saturday morning, and you're down there and you're just like grocery shopping. The City Chicken, you can pick that up off like the corner little cart that they have, and it's probably like not even the best thing in the world, but just the fact that it's like down there in the moment and the environment, it's awesome. And then there's also the Woolies Fish Market. You go and you're like, oh, it's so cool, like the Woolies fish. I don't know. It's fun.
It is. The Strip District's underrated. It's gotten even better now, just with all the walkable stuff to do and all the apartments and everything. It's just a nice area. Not to put a banter on the episode, but my mom wants to know if you want something from North Park Lounge.
I am actually good. Thank you, Miss Vion. What did I eat before? Oh, Trolley Stop Pizza in Bethel
that's
Park.
right. I saw that on your story.
I've been like somebody
pizza review.
Yeah, no, I'm just like being very nonchalant about it and just pizza reviewing it up.
I'm gonna text back real quick.
Yeah, do that. I appreciate the offer, but I'm pizzaed out right now.
That's fair. How was the pizza?
So I often get questions of why the ratings are so low, and I'm a tough critic. I think that builds value into the reviews you're giving. You need to really impress the pizza eater if you get a solid review. Reason being why the Trolley Stop was a 6.4 for me. I liked the burntness of the pizza. It had some crisp edges, but how it was baked wasn't coal. It wasn't like a coal-fired pizza where you could get away with that. If you go for like the crisp burntness, I think it's almost got to be like the coal-fired pizza there. But it's homemade sauce, homemade cheese. But the sauce was lacking like any sweetness or saltiness for me. It was right in the middle. There wasn't much one side or the other. I think as a pizza, you have to pick. You have to pick either I'm salty or I'm sweet. And it was in the middle, so it lacked the flavor.
Maybe we should start doing a pizza review segment.
Maybe we should get a pizza sponsor on here every other episode, and we could get
we just have a pizza every episode.
I mean, pizza and beer. What else do you need?
Fantastic.
What else do you need, people? Oh, man.
I'm trying to see what I want from North Park Lounge, though.
North Park Lounge, it has recently switched up, right?
Well, the one up here has been the same for a while. They have this famous spot in the back called the Bamboo Bar.
Okay.
Which, for whatever reason, has been like a hot spot of the last few summers. Like, I see people. I don't go very often, but when I have gone there, there's people from Westminster all the way down to Bethel Park.
Wow.
They come to this place, and it's basically just an outdoor beach that these people built in a parking lot with two like really big sand volleyball courts.
Oh, there's actual
and
sand
like
there.
giant Jenga towers and out like 2 or 3 bars in the backyard and a DJ and a dance floor. It's actually a really cool spot if you're looking for something to do. So that's separate from North Park Lounge. It's the same place, but it's just the bamboo bar is a separate part.
Interesting. I thought something about I thought I heard something about North Park Lounge being bought out, and there was another restaurant that was coming into it. But
Well, there's another North Park Lounge in North Park that's like a different owner.
Okay.
So it could be that one.
I think it might have been that one, because my parents stopped and got something to eat. I think it was like the new North Park Lounge. But so I'm taking the pizza reviews very, very lightly. Anytime I have pizza, I try to remind myself to do a little review, because I think people enjoy to see a pizza review every now and then. You know, I had a funny conversation too about Pittsburgh pizza, and explaining this. Like, explaining Beato's pizza to somebody might be one of the hardest things ever.
What is this place called again?
Beato's Pizza in Pittsburgh.
Beato's Pizza.
On Banksville
I don't
Road.
think I've had it, so we need to
okay.
go down there.
yes, that could be a potential like pretty awesome sponsor. And Dave Portnoy did a pizza review of it. But when you're explaining Beato's to somebody that has no idea what you're talking about, it sounds like the most horrific thing that you can ever imagine. So, pizza on the cheese, right? Or I'll start with the crust. The crust comes cooked. So the dough of the pizza is cooked, but instead of just traditional sauce that they put on top of the crust, they put on like a tomato chunk.
Oh.
You know, like so tomato chunks with like a little bit of the tomato sauce on it too.
Right.
It's warm, so like they have that on top of the pizza while it's in the oven. I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong on that. And then on top, they sprinkle, I want to say it's provolone cheese. I want to say it's provolone, but it's cold. It's cold cheese that they put on at the very end, like right before you're about to pick up your pizza. They sprinkle on all the provolone. Correct me if I'm wrong, people, but I think it's provolone. But they do that, and I think Portnoy reviewed it at like an 8.4. But if you explain that to somebody that's outside of Pittsburgh, like, dude, that sounds like a grown-up Lunchable. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
It sounds sketch, but I'm uncultured in Pittsburgh pizza, so I got to go try some places.
I think
to give a better opinion.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh pizza is solid as a whole. I don't think it's definitely not as good as other cities.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's good, man.
There's
good.
some hidden places around Pittsburgh that are solid. So we'll have to do a wine and dine tour or something, you know.
That would be actually awesome.
Something crazy.
The MVP takes on the Pittsburgh restaurant community. First stop, Alla Familia.
We could have Chef Ryan come and be our judge.
Ooh.
New series?
I think that's a pretty awesome.
Actually, we're working on something.
Series.
Cut that out.
In the work. In the work.
How about sketch on a generational run right now?
I know.
What's up, brother? What's up, brother?
We were on that like topic the other day, and
I think this kid wants on the pod.
He's getting after it.
He's just talking about something.
No, I heard somebody like saying that sketch was faking it, and I was like, I don't know how.
I don't know
I
what
think
the situation is.
Yeah, I think
he's really funny regardless. Like, he can come up with stuff
yes.
on very short. Like, I don't know how he comes up with it. There was a video I saw from Power Slap actually, where he was just yelling. Somebody saw him in the audience, sketch in the audience, and was like, "Yo, what's up, sketch?" One of the contestants on this Power Slap. And he's like, "Finish him! Finish him!" Like, you just hear his voice yelling out from the audience. It was so funny. But he's hysterical. He's collabed with everyone so far.
Yes.
Like, all of a sudden, he's with every big streamer, which it's kind of crazy how big the streaming world is right now. It's like as big or bigger than YouTube currently. And all these people do is they go live and like stream their whole day, and they get hella money from it.
Yeah, like
and followers.
Kai,
There's Aiden Ross, there's Speed, I think, is one of the other guys.
That
now
kid's
there's
funny.
Jinxie and Sketch have been really big lately. But it's just crazy how quickly everyone knows who he is. And like all the different athletes that know who he is and have been doing the celebrations and stuff.
Yeah, the athletes are so in tune with it, man. Like any streamer, like
Mhm.
I don't know what it's definitely a connect between like the athletic community and like streaming and gaming. There's such a
Really
big
just
connect.
like the athletic community and like the influencer world and like the streaming YouTube world are like all interconnected. 'Cause a lot of the athletes have started to Sorry, I was burping real
we got
quick.
the Stony beer burp.
Some of them started to really intertwine themselves and be like athletes, but then vlog some of their days or like post about it and get sponsorships because of that. So it's been interesting, but yeah, a lot of the athletes are in tune with that. The other half are just not in that generation, so they don't pay attention. But a lot of the young ones, they know a ton, and they play. They grew up playing Call of Duty and Madden. A lot of them, and maybe they stream themselves or they watch these streamers. So it's crazy to see how fast that stuff can take off.
100%. I love this question that you got on here. Most memorable meal you've ever had, good or bad?
Yeah, this was I was looking for good questions today, and this one came up, and I was like, that'd be tough to pick one like most memorable meal you've had.
I have a bad one.
A bad one.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So this is the least. Well, it's most memorable for a bad reason.
Yep. So it was my, I think 13th or 14th birthday, and we all went out to this burger place with like my whole entire family, and nobody at the staff knew at the time, but I was like a kid, and I ordered first because it was my birthday. Like everybody let me order first, and I got this cheeseburger. And at the time, I like hated anything that was raw, or any pink, I should say. Next thing you know, Stoney's beer burp. Everybody's food comes out, and I'm like sitting there on my birthday without my burger.
Nah.
And dude, it was like 30 minutes went by, no burger. I'm like sitting there. I'm like about to cry. I'm like, wow, this is the worst birthday.
On your birthday.
On my birthday. And then my mom, she kind of pulled like a Karen move and was like, it's his birthday and he didn't get his meal. Hey, can we get the meal in like for the burger? Blah blah blah. They're like, oh my god, we're so sorry. So they were cool about it, right? Next thing you know, they bring out this burger. I go to take a bite in it. It's the outside of it, dude, is literally cooked. The inside of it is literally just like just raw ground beef.
Yeah,
and
that's no good.
I literally was like, oh my god, like I just ate something that was alive, essentially.
Yeah.
And now I'm like pretty much do that now with what I eat, but as a kid, it freaked me out. So that was probably my most memorable meal.
That's a good one. I feel like we've all probably had some. I honestly haven't had any like horrible experiences with meals other than obviously I've had like the undercooked, steak or something before.
Never send food back either.
Not as a kid though, just because like I don't know if I got a ton of like burgers like growing up. It was probably like a chicken tender pizza guy. It's hard to mess that up,
It definitely
you know what
is.
I mean? But
rule of thumb though, never send food back, right?
Now that I've worked in the industry for 5 or 6 years, like. Yes, I have so much more respect for people, and like a lot of times if it's messed up, I'm just gonna be like, I'll just eat it, whatever. It's whatever.
Yeah, right.
We're here having a good time, like who cares?
I'm just saying never send food
But-
back because the people that get the food sent back,
Honestly,
I'm
you're
not saying
usually safe as long as you're not in like a shitty place. Like they're not gonna do stuff to your food, but they definitely are gonna be like bad mouthing you back there. Like
Yeah.
I'll go back to the chefs, be like, this table asked if we could separate the shrimp from the sauce, and they'd be like, how about you tell them to go fuck themselves? And you're just like, all right, I'll let them know. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
There's a lot of like chefs are really funny, and they're all very similar in the fact that they'll give it to you sometimes if you're like giving them shit about, or if a table's making you go back there.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just got to be like, sorry, dude, like it is what it is.
They deal with
But,
too much shit. Anyways.
Well,
Continue.
yes and no,
Yes,
but
yes. Continue with your
but,
most
I
memorable.
think my
though.
most memorable, there was just one year we were on vacation in Hilton Head. It was just the four of us, my sister, my mom, and my dad. And we went out. There's this good place down there called Skull Creek.
Familiar, yeah.
Which is like a pretty like landmark restaurant down there now. And it's just a good place because there's always a big wait, right? But you're on vacation, so like a wait's not necessarily a huge deal. And they have like auxiliary bars set up all across the area that they have. And they usually have live music and like a big spread out area to like sit while you're waiting. So like it's set up for like the perfect spot for a wait. Plus it's summertime, right? So it's 80 degrees out still at like 10 o'clock at night or more. So you can watch the sunset, have a couple beers. But for whatever reason this year we went like golfing or whatever beforehand, and then we went there right after, and we got this like Palmetto IPA that they had. And I don't know what percent alcohol it was, but me and my dad were drinking these, and we had like, I think after even the first one, I was starting to feel it, and we were both starting to feel it. And then we had like two. We were like both like definitely buzzed just from like these beers.
You look at them, you're like, are you feeling it?
And so we were just having a great time. Like I could have sat there for another 3 hours before we ate dinner, but then we went and had dinner, and so then we had more. So just the vibe of like, I don't know. It was like one of my first vacations like as an adult, I guess. And it was just like really chill, like, you know, it was fun.
Your first adult vacation is unmatched.
It was like there was a thing that popped up, best places to have a beer or best situations to have a beer, like airport beers, vacation beers when you're with your parents and they're willing to pay are unbelievable.
Unmatched.
Especially
Unmatched.
like if you're having a good time, like it's sunny out, just played golf.
I can't wait till I'm a parent and I have my first father-son beer or
There's nothing
father-daughter
like it.
beer. Yeah.
So that meal was very memorable just because we were both everybody was having a great time, and the food was fantastic. The food at that place is unbelievable. So we had the sushi to start off, and then all got some great entrees, and they have really good bread. And we were sitting inside that night actually, but anywhere you sit in that place is great. The service is really great. It was so good we went back like 2 days later because we were like, let's do that again.
You have
But
to.
that was probably one of my most memorable meals. I probably had a lot of other ones with various people, but that one just really sticks out for whatever reason. Recent.
Yeah. No, that's just a great core memory. Man, there's something to it. I think you reach a level of friendship with your parents whenever you have that first vacation beer.
Yes.
You're like, you're becoming an adult now. Here's your vacation beer, son.
You check a box or something and everything changes, and you're like, you know what? Maybe my parents aren't so bad.
Did we just become best friends? Yup.
For real, like that's what it is. And how about tonight? This is like a big outdoor night or something. They're sitting outside over there. They're sitting outside over there. We're sitting outside over here. And it's not even warm out.
No, it's definitely brisk. The hands are a little chilly.
Everybody just wants to get some sunlight after all that rain.
I mean, Pittsburgh, I think we have 70 days of sunlight a year, and I just had this conversation last night. People of Pittsburgh, I swear, whenever it is sunny out, man, you can't tell anybody in Pittsburgh anything. It's like I'm happy.
A sunny day in Pittsburgh, watch out.
The vibe is I'm happy. You know,
People can't ruin my day.
People are saying hello. You know, the responses and the feedback that you get from talking to people, the conversations are more lively. But then you go back to some gloomy days, and you can understand why somebody might be upset. You know.
Yeah, I mean, wintertime here, definitely gloomy. A lot of
sure.
clouds. But I will say, once it's cloudy for like a couple days in a row, you do get used to it, and then it's not as impactful. And then that makes those first couple days of sun unreal. Like,
The best.
my favorite time of year is basically right now when you have like those first couple like warm days. First couple times you're breaking out the shorts and the t-shirt, and you're like, ooh, I think I'm getting sunburned. That's crazy when that happens.
It happened to me at the Pirate game, and I'm like, did I just get sunburned?
Sneaky sunburns happen.
From sitting there, and it's a spring day, and it's like 70 degrees, and I got sunburned. I'm like, wow, my pasty, huh?
This is the time of year where you get sneaky sunburns. It'll be cloudy out.
There's
and
nothing
if it's
worse.
warm, you're just like, damn, I got burned for no reason.
It's nothing worse than a sneaky
Gotta
burn.
be careful.
Gotta watch out for that sneaky sun, you know? Sneaky sunburns.
You got to. SPF 30.
Swear.
Maybe 50.
I was looking at a pretty cool topic on the way up.
What's that?
So, you always wondered as a kid, are superheroes real? But I think there's people out there that do have definite superhero kind of abilities.
Oh yeah.
And I never really knew, who it was. And then I went down this list, right? So I thought this Daniel Kish guy was pretty interesting. They called him the Batman. So he was blind since childhood. But Kish developed an extraordinary ability known as echolocation, allowing him to navigate his surroundings using sound, like a bat.
It's insane.
It's pretty wild. I think
Batman.
I think the really impressive one's the Ice Guy.
Oh, let me see what the Ice Guy
They call
is.
him the Iceman. Wim Hof. He's been on Rogan a couple times.
Oh, you
and
know what?
he explains, no matter what he does to try and explain it, he climbed Everest in shorts and a shirt.
Mhm.
I'm almost positive.
It's insane.
Because
it's not warm there.
How is it physically possible though?
Well, it makes you wonder because there's obviously a bunch of other species of animals that have like some of these unique traits, like the echolocation, right? That like a bat would have. So it makes you wonder if there's certain genetical combinations line up with like a human that maybe they accidentally have some of these or like versions of it.
Yeah.
Like that guy obviously adapted to be able to like when you think about if you're walking around with your eyes closed, like obviously I don't think I could navigate by sound. But you probably with practice,
your senses would get heightened.
if you're naturally like really good at it, you could probably figure out like, oh, when I'm getting close to the fridge, it sounds like this.
It's a fair point. I think your senses definitely adapt over time. But to like the crazy levels of that guy, the Iceman guy, there's got to be something genetically that's mutated within him. Like there's no amount of mental fortitude that you can have that would not cause your body to shut down, unless there was something different in your system that allows you to do that, It
has to be. I mean when you think like the stories for superheroes and like legendary people going back to way back then, they had to be about real life people to like inspire it, and there were like freaks of nature always.
Yeah.
Really big people, really small people, really strong people. There's people that can hold their breath for super long times underwater.
Those free divers, man, are cold.
Like that's insane. I can't last more than like 10 seconds underwater.
I was watching a guy doing the breathing exercises, which can help people breathe a little bit longer. I got to like a minute underwater doing it.
You got to a minute?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do that.
You hyperventilate, or I was like right under a minute. I think. But you essentially like hyperventilate yourself and breathe out really hard and fast. And
something
then
you work up to, I guess.
Yeah.
You have to build the...
You got to expand your lungs is what the
endurance.
key was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love the Caitlin Clark hype, though.
Oh, yeah. So you think she'll live up to the hype?
Living up to the hype, I think she has definitely...
She's lived up to the hype already.
Yeah.
But will she live up to the hype in the WNBA?
Will the hype continue? I think that's a big one. And I think the way it looks now, man, I think yes.
I think so too.
I think yes, solely just on the fact that there were so many people watching the WNBA draft. You have her and Angel Reese, even though like they've squashed the beef, so to speak. I think people are always going to want to see those two play against each other now, and I think now people want to see Caitlin Clark play against other great like WNBA players, and now she brings relevancy to those other players now because she's so good. And it's like, all right, how well do you stack up against Caitlin Clark? And I think even as like a viewer like me, I want to see how she stacks up against like a Brittany Griner, watch her like cook,
Yeah.
I mean, if you had a gun to my head and have me name 5 WNBA teams, I would be dead. I think
me too.
I think after this season, that's going to change for a lot of people.
Yeah, she's brought a lot of good attention to the game, a lot of excitement. I think the ratings for the college women's championship this year outpaced the men's championship for the first time ever.
Yeah.
The endorsements and stuff she was getting during her college career. But just her personality is really cool too. I saw she was on the Pat McAfee show earlier this week, and fit like right in with that team, and it works out because they're based in Indy. So like they talked about having her on like every week or something.
I mean, that would be a no-brainer for
be
him.
a perfect combo.
The hype between both of them is just through the roof.
So it's gonna be interesting to watch, and I think she will, regardless of what her WNBA career looks like. She's already accomplished so much and has lived up to the hype. Now it's just kind of like bringing all that attention with her to the WNBA to like grow the game there, which they already said like season tickets are flying in Indy like crazy.
It was insane.
So the effect is unreal.
Their value of the tickets, I think, before she even got drafted, shot up like 100x.
Yeah.
And there was a WNBA GM or owner that said I would trade away my entire team for Caitlin Clark. They didn't name the owner, but I mean I wouldn't blame the guy. If you want to bring revenue into your team, like that's what you're doing.
Facts. So it's been cool to watch, and excited to see what she brings to the table. And a lot of generational runs going on right now with Sketch, with her. I don't know who else is on a generational run, but MVP might be.
It's in the works.
We're in the works. We're on the move right now.
Yeah. We're loading up.
What an episode.
This really was. I think
fantastic.
It's great. It's great always to just do one between me and you, brother man. And
I love catching up and just talking because, with the guests and everything, it's a lot of fun, obviously, and we get real deep on their stories, but we don't get to talk as much about just everyday stuff that's going on that we do when it's just us or just us and other people or whatever.
Or fun things we like to talk about even, and how we brought up the Stoney's lineage today.
Yeah, like that. Who would have thought?
And
That's crazy.
I know. And I appreciate everybody for if they eared in and have made it to this far in the episode. That also is something really cool. We're going to make longer podcast episodes because we know you people at home like to watch them.
You like to listen to them on those long drives, put it on in the background while you're cleaning, all that.
Me and you were talking about it.
It makes a lot of sense.
Longer podcast.
If it's less than an hour, I'm not clicking. No, I mean, I will sometimes if it's the right person. But if there's like a 15-minute podcast episode, I just assume it's not good, so I move on to the next one.
You almost feel like it's a trailer to the podcast if it's 15 minutes.
A podcast is destined to be 1 hour to 3 hours. 3 hours probably the max for me. But I know people go longer than that sometimes. Rogan routinely does.
Yeah, that's impressive, dude, to like sit down for 3 hours. And 3 hours out here right now might be a little bit tough because it is a little bit chilly.
It's getting cold now.
It is definitely
getting colder. The sun's going
down.
down. It's windy still.
Yeah.
If we had the fire, next time we'll get the fire going sometime for an episode.
We will.
But thanks for joining us. This has been a great episode. Stay tuned. Episode 37 will be coming soon in May. We'll see who we have on. We got some good guests lined up, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned, everybody. As always,
peace.